Hey, welcome to Sunny and Ratchet, your go-to spot for real talk and real laughs with your two favorite hosts who are spilling the tea, but not the wine.
Skies might be big, but the opinions are bigger. This is where you'll find your weekly dose of drama and magic, always served hot and slightly chaotic. I'm the one that likes to tell it like I see it.
And I'm the one who finds the silver lining, even if it's duct taped on.
We're just two women from the Midwest, one the ever optimist, and the other a realist, just trying to keep the train on the tracks.
So if you like gossip, world news, unsolicited advice, and good old-fashioned sarcasm, you're in the right spot.
Is this Sunny and Ratchet? Pull up a chair and let's get into it.
Hey, welcome to Sunny and Ratchet. We're here today with our special guest, Miss Passion, aka Mahogany Momma. We're so glad to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yes.
And so I'm going to turn it over to Miss Ratchet to tell y'all about our topic for the day.
All right, let's get into this. So we're dedicating this episode to fathers. We're not disregarding any single mothers, just now. However, I personally feel like we as a society have definitely disregarded the role of a father in the household. An article written by Bob Griffin in 2020 stated that the need for a father has become an epidemic. Is called a father defect. It should be treated as a public health issue. So what is a father defect? A father defect, according to the 2020 census again, is that 18.4 million kids are currently living without their biological father. This has doubled since 1968, and it continues every year. Some of the effects of an absent father for your children are depression, abuse and neglect, drug and alcohol abuse, anxiety, psychological issues, tendency for violence, sexual and criminal activity.
Oh, yeah, that's really tragic. It really is, and I think that fatherlessness is a pretty big deal, of course. So we all have our different stories. I am fortunate that even though my story began with fatherlessness, I was lucky to be adopted by my stepdad. I was about 4 years old. He'd been in my life since I was a year old. And so he adopted me and he took on that role of father. And so even though I have a biological father, I was raised by someone who I'm happy and proud to call dad, and so, yeah. So bio dad was out of the picture before I was even born. And then my mother, she actually remarried when I was 1 or 2. I'm not sure. I didn't remember it yet. Yeah. So, and then, so then that kind of was the start of our blended family. It's kind of funny because like my parents always came from a place of honesty. And so, before I could really comprehend it, they were always explaining to me that dad was my dad, but that he had adopted me and that I had a biological father out there. And so I remember being, I think in kindergarten, maybe first grade, on the playground hanging out, and I decided to like tell people about my biological father, but I didn't really understand it. So I told him, like, this is, back in the 80s, right? So I told him that he was a spy for the USSR. And that's why we couldn't be around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Right. So, yeah.
I love the imagination. Right. That's cool.
Always telling stories. But yeah, so like I'm very thankful that my dad stepped up like that. but it wasn't without its difficulties, you know. Um, we struggled to understand each other a lot of times, and I'll say my dad never said anything like this, but I think just somehow inherently you just like get it in your head that it's like, well, what does that mean? That I was around and then he married mom. Like, am I just, extra baggage? Like, is this really something like, am I really a kid that he wanted to have? Especially because it can be really difficult when you have two very different personalities, you butt heads a lot and that kind of thing. And especially as a teenager, I became pretty angry. Um, and I I didn't really feel confident that he like actually loved me. Mm. But even just like looking back at home videos, I saw what an attitude I had. And Sarah will tell stories of things I did to just like set him off.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, it was probably pretty difficult. But we were able to kind of like circle back around. And the real defining moment for me. So I had my son, and like dad was actually there the day he was born, just taking all the pictures and stuff, and such a great grandpa. And then I would say it was around Christmas-ish time. So Henry was, I don't know, maybe 8 months old, and I was very, very sick and had a fever, and so was Henry. And his dad was working out of town. So my dad came and he took care of the both of us, and he told me to just rest. And so I'm just holding Speed Racer and just patting him on the back and just being so sweet and so good with him. And that was like that real defining moment for me where I was like, this is really different. Like, he is a really great grandpa, and he's also being like a really great dad to me. And that was where like I feel like I really, really saw the healing and the coming back together happening. And so, now we have a really great relationship, I feel like. But you know, it had its twists and turns. But also, when the healing began, I was able to look back and reflect. Like, he really treated me as his own, not as extra baggage when he married my mom. He supported me. Every opportunity that my other siblings had, I had to. Um, you know, he was definitely a very traditional dad. Um, so he did a lot of going and working while my mom took very traditional feminine roles on, like the cooking and the cleaning and that kind of stuff. And so it was hard for us to bond in that sense, but I think it would have been the same whether I was his biological child or not, just in that traditional male role that he played. So yeah, kind of I don't have my bio dad in the picture, but I think I'm very fortunate in having someone step up and really, truly take on that role.
Yes. Yeah. Miss Mahogany.
Oh, well, mine's totally opposite. However, I am the second oldest out of four girls. Now, my older sister had a similar story as yours. My older sister's dad was not in the picture, but we never met him. So I'm my dad's first child out of all three of the younger siblings. Mine's totally opposite. My dad was there. My dad, I say I'm rare because my parents are still together. They're the only ones they've been married to in my life. And then my dad's parents married 51 years together. My husband's family, mom and dad, married, and then his grandparents. So our kids are rare. They have all these males in their homes, and growing up with a father in a religious sense. He was my pastor. He's my best friend. He's my petty partner too, if I need to call it, and a counselor. And so just understanding he knows those roles and different hats. But I had a great childhood. My dad was always there. It was so funny. I had opposite. My mom, we don't know where the hell she was half of the time. I know she was there. She cooks and she cleans. She was the more the disciplinarian. But my dad, for every recital, for every basketball game, we were there. He was in the crowds as long as his parents were there too. So I had a totally different background. Even growing up, it was so funny when when I got pregnant with my first child. I had my dad on one side and my husband on the other side, and for every doctor's appointment. So he was there, and so they're always there, even to this day. I think, matter of fact, I talked to him this morning about the basketball games, or he'll put on a different hat, and so it's just one of the best friends that I just talk to every day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so mine's totally opposite. So, which is not a bad thing, but yeah.
Nice. I don't have a relationship with my father. Yeah, I think we hadn't talked in years, and then I got a call from my stepmother saying he had a heart attack, and so he's still alive, still here, kicking it. So I got updates through her.
Okay.
Like, it was like a group chat or whatever, but he would never respond. It was just her. So I don't know. I just kind of stopped trying. Like, cool. I'm glad you're still kicking it. But then again, I haven't seen this man in probably 25 years.
Oh, wow.
So, but other than that, I think it turned out okay. Definitely got man problems, psychological issues all over the place here.
That's what comes out of man. Trust me. I think we all have a little bit of that.
Being a woman.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, so we're going to go over some pros of having a father in the household. There's better control over emotions, healthy relationships. Like you, the daughter seems to tend to try to find a partner that resembles their father, and sons take on the mantle of their father and they become more like that. So there's those, and then they feel safer, better in school, and less likely to get in trouble. And I will agree to that when 100% that dad has the dad stare is a thing.
Yeah, I was definitely, I didn't want to get in trouble with either parent, but the more concerning one was always dad.
Ours wasn't the stare. Ours was the talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He didn't want to talk to dad. He was a pastor, so of course.
Oh, you're going to have a whole conversation.
Whole conversation. I probably brought up at church in the middle of everyone, so no, you can have it. No. No, it wasn't the stare. Like, talk to your dad. No. I'm good. Yep.
My husband, he talks about all the time about his father and how he knows he's doing something that he's not necessarily supposed to do. And then all of a sudden he will feel his dad's stare in the back of his neck, and he will quietly put away or stop doing whatever he was doing and then just move along. Wouldn't even just move along.
No eye contact. Right.
Oh, wow.
So
it wasn't that subtle.
Not at all.
Hello.
Did you know right away you got on his nerves?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine you being that way.
Yeah, you were talking about being obstinate as a teenager, and I just like,
well, I don't see it.
Okay, so
And she's sunny, but I don't see it. Right.
I'll oh gosh, I've got two stories, but I'll just go with the one my sister she loves to tell. So my dad, one time, he was coming in just hollering about all the toys and stuff everywhere and on the ground and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, then he was threatening to get a big green trash bag and just start throwing stuff away. And he just going off. He finally settled down and took a breath. And I said,
"The trash bags are black."
Oh, yeah.
And he lost it all over again.
You could just go with it. You had to tell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
They had
I transport out.
Oh my God. Ah,
I mean, I wasn't, my kids had their fathers in their lives. But I do know that I was the disciplinarian mostly.
mhm.
And that was one thing. I know we're talking about fathers and stuff, but that my kids, coming at me with something I said,
Mhm.
or I'd be like, you need to tell me why you did that. And then I'd be like, stop talking.
Right. Right. Right.
I can't win.
Right. Not this argument. Mm-mm. Just think about all the stories. My kids they're probably traumatized from both of us. So yeah. Mm-hmm. I can see my oldest correcting my son or my husband just like you did your father. So yeah.
Gosh. Henry made me so mad once. He just gets really stuck in his ways and really particular. And I was trying to help him clean out the hamster cage, and I had I had the plastic and I had like the bedding for the hamster. The hamster was in his cage and everything. It's just the bedding. And he said something that made me so mad. And so it was like me, but in small form, because I was the queen of saying some little thing that will just set someone off. And he did that with me. And I mean, I just started smacking the door in the bedroom.
Say that.
I just was so mad. And I was like, I needed to do something to get it out. He's just sitting there. Why are you beating up my door with the hamster bedding?
Right.
I know. It's like, I gotta get it out.
Because it's you and me in this form.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. So some society statistics or fallback on society are, as of 2008, a steady insight to the estimated cost of taxpayers is at $99.8 billion. And that was in 2008. And this includes stuff for TANF, which is welfare, child support enforcement, food and nutritional programs, housing, and state child health insurance plans. I can talk.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes. But society, we as taxpayers have had to pick up the slack for these fathers that have disappeared. And again, I'm talking about fathers and not sperm donors. There's a very specific difference in this. So those fathers that actually want to stay in the household and be with their children, help raise these children, they deserve a voice and a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, but almost $100 billion as of 2008, we as taxpayers have footed this to make sure that these kids are okay, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I think we've done it. We should continue to do it. I don't think these programs should be cut.
Right.
However,
you're just saying it's a societal reflection
Yes.
on the state that we're in, the fatherlessness.
Yeah. And I did find that 39% of single mothers actually live in poverty, and only 8.8% of families with a father in the household live in poverty. And some more facts, you guys are ready for this. 90% of homelessness comes from fatherless homes. 63% of youth suicides from fatherless homes. 85% of behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 70% of youth and state operated institutions come from fatherless homes. 85% of all youth in prison and probation come from fatherless homes. While there are incredible single mothers out there, the statistics don't lie. These facts don't lie. I feel like we need to be aware.
What was the driving point of my question? Why are they
Absent?
absent? I mean, not just absent being there and absent, but just not being there at all. What is that driving force to get them out of the homes?
I don't know. Why don't you guys let us know at Ratchet
Yeah.
at gmail.com. sunnyandratchet@gmail.com. Let us know. But I honestly think a lot of it has to do with them either running away or those mothers who decide that they want to use their children as leverage.
Or just can't take it. You know, some people just can't handle the pressure of being a provider.
That is very true. There's some out there who sperm dump and go.
Right.
Run away.
Right.
And they have 18 billion kids out there.
Right. And just going back with your $99 billion worth of assistance, traditional roles for the fathers were the breadwinners in the home. And without that, women's traditional role was to stay at home and take care of the family. And we already know women don't get paid as much as the men anyway. So that right there pays another attention to not having enough.
Yeah, and then doing it on your own.
Right.
Like you're responsible for the housing, for the utilities, for the food, for the upkeep, for sports, for
everything,
doctors, for everything. And that's hard. It is hard.
It's hard with parents in the home.
That's very true.
This society now, it's because I argue with my mother in this because my dad took care of everything. My mom didn't have to work. She had her own paycheck and she took care of what she needed, where my father did not. And my dad took care of everything. And so when I married, that's what I was looking for, was a father like that to take home. But I know that traditionally, that's their role. But right now, it takes two incomes to raise a house.
That is 100%.
It does. Society now, right? It's expensive.
So it is interesting. Like you're talking about, you had that positive role model, and that's what you were seeking out. And so I had mentioned before, I had a very strained relationship, especially as a teenager, with my father, and that left me feeling like, I felt like I didn't really know what I want. Like I didn't have a clear idea of what to me is that positive dynamic supposed to look like. Because I definitely, I think I would say that I would have, been looking for maybe more involvement. Even though my dad was just doing what a traditional male did and how he was raised. But so I've been married 3 times, and I would say each person had a pretty different parenting. Yeah,
third time charm.
That's what they keep telling me. I think they're right. Third time is a charm.
Right.
But it's like now with my third husband, and I see how involved he is. And honestly, after studying education and studying psychology and development and all that stuff, I see him doing things. I'm like, yes, that's great. Like when he gets on to the kids, it's not just don't do that. He circles back and has a conversation and guides and teaches them and talks through it.
Right.
Whereas I think I just had a, don't do that.
Right.
But then he was out of town a lot. So I figured that those were the rules when he was home, and when he wasn't, it was like, Mom,
right.
When are we gonna get away with it?
Right. The rebellious.
Yes.
Sunny. That's so funny.
Yes. But yeah, I don't think I knew exactly what I was expecting. I knew I wanted to have, I thought I wanted to have a bunch of kids. I know. I eventually did, but you did one. Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, wow.
6. You have 6 kids?
No.
Oh, you wanted 6 kids. I wanted 4. I ended up with 3. So 1 less.
I mean, I birthed 1, and I was like, this is enough birthing of kids.
I birthed 3, but I have many, many children.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That, I inherited or latched on to. And yes.
I wanted to stop after the first one, but they just kept coming.
You know how it works, right?
Right. I'm like, sis.
I was very full. I think in our last episode, we went over that a little bit. My very last one that I had, my youngest, I had half an ovary left. I was on the depot shot, and I still got pregnant with him.
Oh, I got pregnant with my first child on birth control, so I get you. Yep. Yeah. When they're meant to be here, they're meant to be here.
I was guy, and I was like 9 months pregnant. Okay.
Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not that fertile.
You had one and done.
I had one and done, and we were like trying for a while, not too long, like 6 months, but still, it wasn't like, oh, oops, I'm pregnant.
All of mine were happy mistakes.
Exactly. The first one to the last one. I think on my last one, I thought I was going through menopause. It was my birthday. And the woman came back, the nurse, she said, oh, you're positive pink. Oh, no, sonny. I am going through menopause.
Going through the change.
Right, the change, not the child.
And she's like, you're going to change, all right?
Right. Right. I mean, because the girls are 21 months apart, almost 2 years, and then 4 years later, here he comes. I'm like, oh, yeah. Different. So, but having a male in the house, though, going back to having fathers, my husband is not exactly like my dad in different ways, but he's been more active than my mom was in my life. And so that part was the benefit. But I think having a parent that understood the sanctity of marriage and being a father and a mother in the home, which helped raise our kids. And so that played a part of just having that traditional roles, because his dad was the same thing. He worked all day long. Mom was the one who took care of everything, took him on field trips. And when we got married, he thought that I was going to do the same role as him. I'm like, oh, no, we're here together. Because it's a partnership. My view, my reality was totally different from yours. And so we're going to blend this together. And so, but the kids come back and they talk and they call them out and everything else. So I love it. I love it with my kids.
I really love that for being with the mom is hard.
Who would you tell me?
Stay-at-home mom.
I couldn't be a stay-at-home mom.
I think my kids definitely love me better when I'm from it.
I love nagging them every day.
I'd like to have a little more too.
Right. Yeah, space to be who you are.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know, because empty nested now. I'm like, I have to find who I am now. And then as I'm married, we have to find who we are, because we started when I graduated from college. We got married. Okay, graduated in May. Got married in the first job in August. Got married in December. First job in January. Husband graduated in May. Second job the next year. So we were straightforward. So yeah. So trying to find out who we are in family, as far as growing our family and careers and everything. So it was a long 25 years.
So was it hard for you? Because you were a single mom for a very long time.
Yes.
When you finally did remarry to this amazing man, was it hard for you to let him be like a father figure, or not for you?
So I feel like there was definitely an adjustment, and it's also different because my husband, his kids are younger, and teenagers are scary. And we got married when my son was a teenager. But I love the positive male role model he is. And I think that we are all still learning what it's like to come in and become a father figure to a teenager. But when he's doing things like teaching Speed Racer how to change his oil or do repairs on the car, or gives them advice, or their love of cars and stuff, seeing them bond over that, it makes me really happy, because honestly, so I know a lot of those. I read about and thought about fatherlessness, for quite a while. It's part of what you think about when you think about the development of a child. And having a son, I worry very much for him, because he was 13 months when his dad and I separated. And I worried about him having the support he needed, because he does go and spend some time with his dad, but the majority is with me. And especially those crucial elementary years that just developmentally boys need their dads the most at that time. And I did remarry for a few years, and that was not a positive situation for him. He really struggled, and that didn't go well at all, because we could not communicate and come together on this whole parenting thing with my second husband. With my third husband, so much better. So much better. And I feel like part of it is us being able to have conversations about it and figure it out, and also us having the freedom to say, I don't even think I know what I'm doing right now.
I think it's a lot. That's a lot of parenting, period.
Yeah.
But being okay and open with it. That's the bigger thing.
Yeah. I think, for me, I feel like that's been the key to our co-parenting, is that openness.
So you guys both are in the education field, and you both have studied psychology, right? Okay. So I'm just going to ask you, per your, I don't know, professional opinion, how do you rank a child who doesn't have a father in their lives versus, I know you're not saying this one's better or worse. I'm just saying how much help is this one going to need versus that one? Is there something like that? Because I don't know. Obviously,
I'll speak, not even just from my professional opinion, just that I had my son who had a father in the house, and then he had his best friend who didn't. And there are two different kids. Even though he lived with us for a couple of years, and you can tell the difference being raised with a father with the confidence, and not hiding behind the mom. My son's now do that when he gets in trouble. He does in trouble, but he's still a man's man. My dad, he was there when he was elementary years, going back to what you're saying. He was there at the developmental part of it. And you can tell with this young man that there was no father figure in there. He tends to shy away from men.
Okay.
If my husband come to him and ask him a question, he would go around. He'll look at me before he'll answer that question. But professional part of it, I don't know. I mean, you can tell the kids that have fathers and it has a positive relationship with their fathers in the home versus just having a father in their home.
I think that still counts as an absentee father.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I
would agree with you. It's very, I don't know that we catch everyone, because some kids adjust better than others.
Right.
Yes. I mean, sometimes when you have this kid acting out and having these issues, and then you get to know them, it's like, oh,
right, there's some things missing.
Yeah. So now, I'm sorry you asked professionally, but no, non-professionally, just comparing my 3 marriages. My husband, the person I'm married to now, has a father still in his life, and it's always been a positive relationship. And and maybe that is something that really contributes to his ability to really innately think about ways to parent well, and the ability to have conversations and reflect and those kinds of things. But yeah, I do think that I don't know if you've experienced this in education, but especially in elementary, it used to make me a little bit sad, because there would be kids that, they're going through stuff because their parents are divorced and they're not seeing dad a lot. And they just keep getting in trouble. And so then it's like, well, we're just going to get the dad involved. And then they're super scared
right
about that. and I don't know that that's really right either, because that's not when you want the dad stepping in. You want a whole
relationship.
Right. Yes, coming to the dad for comfort. Also, having the fear of disappointment or, the consequences for not following rule. It's very complex. I feel like, and we've kind of both alluded to traditional father rules. I feel like as a society, we're really like evolving and shifting, especially with the it also taking two incomes now. Like, I think we are probably a little bit fluid there.
Right. Shared responsibilities more so than not the mother taking care of everything, disciplinary and raising other kids. It's split. I mean,
It needs to be. Like, it seriously needs to be. It wasn't good when it was just mom and dad was just, a person living in the household.
the provider.
Yeah, that's
Right.
not necessarily a great relationship either. I don't know. I mean, I guess the closest thing that I have to a good father relationship would be when we lived with my aunt and uncle. He is the only man in my childhood that I felt safe with. So, like, he's definitely somebody that I think I found in my husband finally, because this is 3 for me too.
Oh my gosh.
So
I know.
3. Yeah.
But he is just so supportive. I remember him he would play with us. He was like, he would take us out to the mountains when it was just start to melt so that we could get on trash bags and run down these little streams. He disciplined us, but he was also very fair about it too. But he was definitely a really good man. So
yeah, it's the whole relationship is key.
It is. And just having positive males, even though like my son has a father in the home, we also have other male figures that help raise our son, to be the person that he is outside of our home. And my husband has brothers and a dad, and my father still comes down and see all the kids and do activities with the kids. And so it's just having that male perspective in the house. That's very crucial to have when you're raising kids.
Yeah.
You can't just live in village. You can't do it by yourself.
You really can't, or you shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to.
So, but I also feel like, some of these mothers need to be taken to hand too. Like, just because he moved on in his life and has found somebody new does not mean that you have a right to inflict this type of pain on your child.
Why? That's a whole nother story on that end. I think mother just hurt.
I don't care.
Why me? Why didn't they me and go to somewhere else?
It's not about you.
No, it's not. It's not.
Grow the fuck up.
Right. Say that again.
Grow the fuck up.
Right. So, yeah.
It's never fair when parents use children as leverage.
No. Or choose not to deal with any other past relationship kids. That hurts. That hurts more than anything. I have a sibling who was divorced, and the father moved on and really don't have anything to do with the kid. And so just, yeah, it hurts that end of it. Just, why not me? You spend time with the other side of the family, and we're here, but because you're attached to the mother, you don't have anything to do with the mother, and so the kids are left.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
I think we as adults need to remember that, these kids need us. All of us.
More than anything.
Not having my father in my life and then getting to know him and then realizing that we still don't have a relationship. I'm going to say that maybe all of this has contributed to the fact up until probably about 10 years ago, I was a shy, timid little thing. Like, I was scared of everything and everybody, including men. Like, it didn't matter. It hasn't been until like this past decade that I think I found myself, and I'm in my 40s now, but that's not fair. Like, I've wasted my good years being afraid.
Did any of that research or any of those statistics really resonate with you as a person that's experienced?
Yeah, like I definitely have that mental issue. But I think, at least with my first husband, it was more the fact I was currently living with my father at the time. And we didn't have a good relationship. There was abuse in the household. So I was trying to escape. And the only thing that was keeping me there were my brothers, because I was afraid of what would happen to them. So yeah, I spent the first 7 years in a marriage just trying to escape, and that wasn't fair to my children. It wasn't fair to my husband at the time. It wasn't fair to me. So not having somebody to show me how to be assertive and strong and my value, I think, did affect my choices, which then they affected my children. My choices affected my children.
So I was opposite. When we were growing up, my dad used to take us out to eat individually to show us what a partner should be and how a dad should be. And we looked for that when we got married. And so that of getting married and hanging out with our dad, we understood the male role. And I just think having a father in our homes, we understood of how to be submissive as wife, but not to where you would take over us, just giving us that power and that voice of things that we want to do and what we don't want to do inside of a marriage or who we are as a person.
Yeah.
He was our biggest cheerleader. Anything we wanted to do. I could fix a car. He taught me how to drive my first stick. I actually drove motorcycles. He had a moped and we drove mopeds because my dad didn't have a voice. He had all girls. And so he didn't have that legacy to instill the next role of males. Even though all of us have sons, I think that's why he's more involved with all of us. And their middle names are all of his first names, which is crazy. So he has four boys named after him.
That's awesome.
To honor, our father, because he was a great role model for all of us. But I think just because who he is and how he was raised, of just getting up and taking care of the family. But having girls, it teaches men differently how to behave towards them, but also it teaches us what to look for in a mate.
That used to be one of my things when I was dating.
What's that?
Is when a guy would be like stupid.
Oh.
I'd be like, is that how you want somebody to treat your daughter?
Right.
What are you talking about? Don't bring my daughter into this.
I'm somebody's daughter, so why are you treating me like this? Yes.
But I used to say that when I was dating.
But I think that's why my girls have not dated.
That's awesome.
They're looking for that person.
I guess speaking to the self-confidence, having it or not having it. I could definitely be honoring and stand up for myself, but I had this horrible fear for a long time that what if I'm incredibly boring?
You ain't boring.
I was so afraid that maybe I wouldn't be interesting to people. And so I definitely did experience that, that aspect of being afraid of not being good enough. And then I remember I was in college and my dad was aware of boy troubles. He never wanted to hear too much of stuff. But, I was tearful and upset, because a guy had, not been totally honest with me and kind of broke my heart. And he walks up, he's like, he thinks he's hot shit in a wine glass. And I'm just a cold turd in a Dixie cup. And then actually I was it made me laugh. It actually made me feel good.
A lot of perspective.
And sometimes that's what's just needed. Reassurance.
Does somebody stick up for you?
Yeah. I laugh because that's my father. I tell him I need somebody to come help me. He's okay. Where do we need to hide the bodies? I'll tell you this, right? So my petty partner, he is definitely my petty partner.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I hope that my kids can definitely. I mean, I know my youngest does. He has a great relationship with his father. My older three, my son does.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has a good relationship with his dad, but the girls don't. So,
Do you feel the girls tend to stay on your side and shield you from a lot, or?
no, I don't think they shield me from it. I just think that. So their dad is definitely very strict and very religious and very hypocritical.
Okay.
So I feel like at least my youngest daughter, she definitely has some daddy issues. In fact, she always wants to take these guys that are like our age, and it's crazy. I don't understand it.
You're not our age. I'm not your age. You know how old I am?
Yeah, what? 44?
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. I'm add 6 more years to that. 6 more years to that. So you're like, all right, man, that's old. She's dating older people. Wow.
But no, yeah, she's dating like this last guy that she was telling me about was, I think, yeah, he was 40 something. And I was like,
Wow.
even when I was single, I would be like, because my oldest and I was 16. So
Right.
I was like, if she can date this guy, I can't. So that was my limit. Like,
Right.
why can't they do the same?
No. Wow.
Some of them just like them aged like fine wine, apparently.
Yeah, but I just think that these guys are. That's my baby.
Right.
So no, you know you're not good enough.
Right. Mama bear comes out.
What are you doing with this child?
Right.
She's a child.
Because in your eyes, it's still your child, it's still your baby. Oh, I'm not ready for that. I'm definitely not ready for that. Not for my girls. My son, yeah, he can handle it. My girls cannot. And they're 25 and 23, so yeah.
I think with this episode or this title or subject, however you want to say it, is I just feel a lot of women tend to use their children as leverage, and I don't think it's going to hurt anybody but those children.
I agree.
So that's where I'm at on this episode, personally.
Well, just, I don't know, for me, like I think my story about fathers and great fathers is that when you find them, I appreciate them all the more.
That's what we have to do.
Yes.
Yes, is appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
And those new fathers that just have that baby, let them pick up that kid.
Right.
Stop trying to tell them how to do that.
Right. Right.
You're just undermining them, so they're not going to do it, and then they're going to be complaining 2 years down the road that they're not doing anything.
Right.
It's just a symptom of what you wanted.
But don't they become autopilots anyway when they get older?
What?
Men, the raising kids.
I mean, I assume so. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if you have a dad that wants to help,
Let
them.
Yeah.
Let them pick up that kid. They're not going to break their neck. That
And
baby's
cry
good.
in front of them.
And let them cry.
Right.
Let your men cry.
Yes.
What's this difficult?
Yes.
I think it's super cute when my husband cries.
I remember seeing my dad cry. My husband's a crybaby, so I already know that. So that's not, they see my husband crying, and the girls will be like, "Is Daddy crying again?" Yes, let him. You see the human side of him.
Yes. And they deserve it too. I think that's going to help in a whole bunch of different aspects is if we can train our boys to be in touch with their emotions. They're not going to rage. They're not going to rant. They're not going to hit. They're not going to abuse.
Use their words.
Yes. But we have to teach this generation. It's also that generational curse thing.
Sorry, the cycle.
Break the cycle.
Yeah.
So, cheers to dads.
All right.
Let's hear it for the boys.
Wait, I thought you were Sunny. You were supposed to say that, right? Right.
I was just got her ratchet on today.
Oh my God. Must be the all black. Must be the all black today.
I had a very traumatic soda buying event. Okay.
Oh, that's not even talk about it. 20 minutes for 3 drinks. Come on.
Shouting into the void.
Just
Right.
shouting at the boys.
Right.
Woo-hoo!
Yes.